Republic of Albania, Her Excellency, Madam Olta Xhaçka.
Thank you dearly, Minister Kuleba, President Zelensky, distinguished representatives of the Ukrainian government, distinguished guests. 1 year ago, representatives from our countries gathered in Kyiv for the launch of the Crimea Platform. 1 year on, the number of participants as well as the level of representation from countries and organizations has grown. It is, I believe, not just a clear statement of support for Ukraine and unequivocal condemnation of Russia's illegal aggression against an innocent country, but also a clear recognition of the fact that it all began with the illegal occupation of Crimea in 2014. The current war, a senseless criminal war that has caused such suffering and destruction, has its roots in the occupation of Crimea and in the fact that at the same time, the world unfortunately failed to react properly to what was a blatant violation of international law, of the Charter of the United Nations, and by extension, of the whole rules-based order. The world's reaction was meek, and the price Russia paid for its illegal action was such that instead of serving as deterrence, served merely as encouragement for the current war. We have all seen over the past 6 months horrible scenes of tragedy and destruction unfold in front of our eyes. Bucha, Mariupol, and countless other places that we would have been hard-pressed to locate on a map until a few months ago have now become household names for the most tragic of reasons. The well-documented stories of the so-called filtration camps, of the forced resettlements of Ukrainian citizens in Russia, of the repressive measures against Ukrainian and Crimean Tatars, as well as the aggressive Russification efforts throughout the occupied areas, from the Donbass to Kherson to Zaporizhzhia, all carry in them echoes of a time in the history of Europe that we had hoped would have never repeated itself. Not only did this brutal war of aggression started with the occupation of Crimea in 2014, but the occupied Ukrainian peninsula and its territorial waters were used as a base for further occupation of Ukrainian regions. At the same time, Russian repressive measures in Crimea against Ukrainian and Crimean Tatar activists have become harsher in an attempt of cultural and political erasure of Ukrainian and Crimean Tatar communities, including aggressive Russification and resettlement of civilian populations in order to change the demographic composition of Crimea. For us in Albania, for us in the Western Balkans, these crimes and these images hit a very raw nerve. Before Russia's illegal aggression against Ukraine, the Western Balkans were the scene of the last war in Europe. This is part of the reason why Albania has supported Ukraine and its heroic resistance to aggression to the best of its abilities, by being one of the first countries to send ammunition to Ukraine, by contributing at the Donors Conference, by adopting the necessary legal framework that allows us to welcome in our country Ukrainians fleeing the war, by aligning fully with all EU sanctions against Russia, and by doing our utmost at the Security Council, at the UN Security Council, as co-pen holders with our US allies to support Ukraine diplomatically and isolate Russia. But there is another reason too, perhaps even more important, why Albania supports Ukraine and why we believe every country that believes in the international law, that believes in the UN Charter, in the rules-based order, must support Ukraine until the liberation of all the occupied territories, the restoration of its sovereignty over all temporarily occupied territories, and the complete withdrawal of Russian forces from every part of the internationally recognized territory of Ukraine, because not doing so would endanger the entire international rules-based order, the entire security architecture upon which we all rely for peace and stability in the world, and would encourage every country and authoritarian leader in the world to embark upon the same course of action. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you.